Call our meeting to order because we do have a timeline tonight and have to be done by 5:30 for another meeting in this space. So first thing, as always, is a public forum if anyone wants to share anything.
I have visuals tonight. This year, CODA sponsored The Play That Goes Wrong. And we opened The Play That Goes Wrong on Thursday.
Yeah.
The show works. We're doing all the gags but 3 that cannot happen on our stage. So tickets are still available, and it's a show that they're going to talk about for actors for years. Tickets are available at actorsinc.org. And thank you for the support, because this was an exceptionally expensive show to put up. So,
and lots of fun, hopefully, too.
oh, yeah. I'm still laughing
Yeah.
at it. So that's good. Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to share?
Hi, I'm David Stewart, and I'm just wanting to announce about on October 24th, the Miniera Symphony Orchestra from Mexico will be at CY Stevens, and looks like a really good program. So we're excited to have them come here. I'm also part of IOFA and hope to generate more support for audience engagement for this. Always a trick, but we work on it and it seems to get better and better. So October 24th, 7:30 p.m., Miniera Symphony from Mexico.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Sure.
All right. Anybody else for the public forum? Come on up.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Balaji Narasimhan. I'm an Ames resident and a professor at Iowa State. So we started a new 501c3 organization, which is called the Ames Desi Drama Association, which is whose goal is to produce and perform plays. So this is a drama group that we started in Ames, and our goal is to broaden the reach of dramas from other parts of the world and show dramas in Ames with subtitles in English and expose Ames residents to a broad range of drama-related culture that is not easily accessible. So we've done 2 plays with your support. So thank you very much for getting us off to a great start. And we had English subtitles in both, and we were able to bring more than 400 people between the 2 to the city auditorium. So thank you for your support, and we look forward to working more closely with you in the future. So.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. And any other things to share for the public? Come on, Tammy. I feel like I should call on people.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kuhlbeck. I'm representing Ames Community Arts Council. And we have our studio tour on September 30th and October 1st, and that is also supported by CODA funding. So thank you.
Great. It's a busy month.
It is.
Lots of stuff going on.
It's good to see.
All right. I think we're good for the public forum. The next thing on our agenda is to approve the August 7th, 2023 minutes, which were emailed to everybody prior to the meeting. So is there any discussion of things that needed to be changed? Or if not, we just need a motion to accept.
I will motion to accept as written.
I'll second.
All right. So all those in favor of approving the August 7th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay. Also in that email, we got an updated or revised annual report from actors, as well as the annual grant final report from KHOI. And so If you had any discussions or comments about those, those are two items that we need to approve since they weren't approved in our last meeting.
Any issues?
I like them.
All right, well, I'll motion to approve and accept the two final grant reports that we received, one from Actors and one from KHOI.
I'll second that.
And so all those in favor, just say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we are going to turn the majority of the meeting over to Brian from the city manager's office to talk about the 2024-25 annual grants as well as the spring special project grant applications.
Okay, so tonight we'll be going over the deadlines and the processes for these two grant application programs. First, we'll cover the annual grant process for July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. So the commission doesn't require that a representative of each organization attend the workshop tonight, but is strongly recommended. This workshop will be posted online, so anybody who's not present will still be able to review the information and get any questions answered that they might have. The applications are due on October 13th. CODA is not going to or will not accept late applications. And we ask that you please not substitute the forms for those contained in the application. We try to keep this as standardized as possible. You can submit a single electronic copy to coda@cityofames.org. That's preferable to bringing in paper copies, but if you must bring in a paper copy, you are welcome to do that. The annual grant hearings will be held on November 6th. There is a sign-up sheet on the table here in the front for anybody who would like to sign up for their time slot. If you aren't sure what time slot you'd like, or if you're not in attendance at the meeting, you can simply call the city manager's office, ask to speak with Jeremy, and Jeremy will provide you with the options that are available for the time slots. We'll hold the hearings here in the city council chambers, and there are about 5 minutes per organization allocated in order for you to briefly explain the program and primarily to allow the CODA commissioners to ask questions about your proposal. We don't have to take the entire 5 minutes if we don't need to. The funding recommendations will be posted on January 15th of next year. And we will post those online as well as a paper copy down at the lobby of City Hall. The eligibility requirements are listed up here. The excluded organizations are for-profit organizations and governmental organizations, but any other organization not excluded there is welcome to apply. The organization must be located in Ames, have specific arts goals in its organizing documents, and has to provide its services in a non-discriminatory way. And we also ask that the organizations that receive funding through this grant process acknowledge that they received funding through a statement like that example that's listed up there. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but it would be, it's good to at least include Commission on the Arts and the City of Ames. The criteria that you will respond to in the application materials include demonstrating a need for the financial support, efforts to obtain funds from other sources. You will need to demonstrate that the organizers of the events and activities are fiscally responsible, and ultimately explain an answer to the question, who will be served by the programming and how will they be served? There is a list in the instructions and application materials of expenses that are ineligible for CODA funding. Some of those are highlighted here, but the full and complete list is in the instructions document that's on the city webpage. for CODA. There are 5 basic documents that are submitted as part of the application: a summary of the organization, a description of the project or what the funds will be used for, how the activities are promoted to the community, assurances that you're intending to comply and capable of complying with the requirements that we have, and then financial information, including a budget and a balance sheet for the organization. The final report is due on the last Monday in July, so that's July 29th, for the current year grant. So if your organization has a current annual grant, that's July 29th is when that final report will be due in 2024. One thing that's important to note, we had some issues with this past year. The payment requests under this grant should be submitted no earlier or no later than the first week in July. So it's okay to wait until the last Monday of July to submit your final report, but we need to have the payment requests in earlier than that if you can, so that we can get that accrued to the right fiscal year and close out the fiscal year. So the sooner you can submit for your payment request, the easier it is on everybody in the finance department. I'd appreciate anything you can do to get those in early. And of course, you're welcome to submit your request for payment as soon as you've completed whatever activity it is that's described in the annual grant report, in the application and the contract. That covers the annual grant information. Could you use the microphone so it gets recorded?
Hi, this is Anand from the Ames Desi Drama Association. So what does the funding support and what won't the funding support?
So generally the funding is for an annual grant, there's sort of 2 broad categories that it's for. One is for overall operational support of the organization. The other is for specific sets of programs. So it might be putting on a specific number of performances or a specific number of seminars or workshops or things like that. What's important is the city funding cannot be used to make a contribution to an individual organization and say, this is our donation, right, of tax money to the organization. The city's contracts with the organization are set up as a fee for a service. So the organization is providing something that is a benefit to the community, and the city is providing a payment to make that happen. So the contract isn't structured, and your application shouldn't be structured such that it's talking about paying for a specific expense here or there, or to cover staff time. Though all of those overhead kinds of things need to be rolled into what your proposed costs would be to host the activity, to provide the service. So there is a list. I don't have it in front of me, but on that instructions document that's on the CODA webpage, if you go there, you'll see the specific exclusions for funding that we don't want to see appear on your application at all. But again, the more you can focus your application on providing a service to the community or a program that's open to the community, the more effective it is for CODA to be able to evaluate that.
Okay. Yep.
And if there's a specific thing you're thinking about for your organization, feel free to be specific, and we could tell you whether or not that's something that would be funded.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think, from our side, we were thinking about operational support, but the way I'm understanding what you guys are saying is that it needs to tie in to what it is that we are offering the community.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a high level. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding the annual grants? Okay, we'll do a brief overview of the spring special project grants. So these are for special opportunities that couldn't have been anticipated at the time that you applied for an annual grant. a new, unique opportunity, a chance for a program that was just thought of, or that wasn't possible because an artist wasn't available, or things like that at the time that you applied for the annual grant. An important exclusion is that the special project grant program will not fund programs that were applied for during the annual grant process but denied for one reason or another, unless you make a significant modification from your original grant proposal. This is the timetable for the spring special project grants for spring 2024. So the grant performance period is from January 1st to June 30th of 2024. The applications are due September 22nd of this year. So it's coming up more quickly than the annual grant application deadline. We'll host hearings on October 2nd, where you'll have an opportunity to answer questions about your grant proposal. And then on November 7th, the commission will have its recommendations posted, and then those will go to the city council for approval and to be formulated into a contract. The payment requests need to be due, again, no later than the first week in July to wrap up any outstanding payments under this contract. But you have a couple more weeks until July 29th to complete the final report. So a similar time frame for the payment and the reporting as the annual grant process. The eligibility for these grants is the same as for the annual grants. The funding criteria is slightly different. There are there has historically been this specific 25% threshold for demonstrating efforts to obtain funds from other sources for this grant as opposed to annual grants. But otherwise, it's largely the same kind of criteria that these will be evaluated on. And the ineligible activities are also the same. As with the annual grants, we prefer if you don't include a lot of separate materials. If you must include a separate narrative in order to fully explain the proposal, you may do so. But otherwise, we encourage you to stick to the forms that are on the website in order to make your application. The other difference between this and the annual grants is that the attendance the attendance at the next CODA meeting is required for the hearing if you're going to apply for the special project grant for the spring. As with all things CODA, feel free to please submit your application materials and your final reports to the email address indicated up there, coda@cityofames.org. We prefer to have things electronically, but if you must, you can bring in a paper copy. For the spring 2024 grants, there is $1,000 for each award as a maximum. And my contact information is indicated up here if you have any questions. You can also find it on the CODA webpage on the city's website. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the special project grant process.
You can, yep, come on.
Thank you. Could two organizations collaborate to submit a proposal? And in that case, would it be 2,000? If the project is deemed sufficiently elaborate that it requires two organizations to come together and that justification is made, the project will still be the same, but it'll be two different organizations.
Well, you're welcome to try. Ultimately, it'll be CODA's decision.
Okay.
My background, my knowledge from previous similar kinds of endeavors, we certainly like to see collaboration between multiple organizations. But if it's going to be the same activity, my guess would be that CODA would see that as one grant, right, of $1,000.
Okay.
My thinking would be that if you are going to collaborate, and feel free to correct me, but definite clear cut responsibility and participations. Again, if it's the same overall event, but I mean, I guess it really depends on what you're talking about. True.
Okay.
But
It also might depend on what's the pool of applications like for this round. So would that money go unspent because there weren't enough applications
Right.
Otherwise? So in that instance, perhaps, I can't speak for the commission, but perhaps they might look at that a little more favorably if there aren't other competing applications. So you're certainly welcome to make your case, and then CODA will have to decide whether that's something they're interested in.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anuj Sharma from ICA. The question is the 25% effort, external effort requirement. Can it be considered that if we are doing an event, we'll try to like tickets would be sold, and we don't know ahead of the time how many tickets would be sold. So can it be considered as a effort towards that 25% requirement? And
Yes.
Yeah.
okay,
Yes. And in fact, so efforts to obtain funding from other sources, that statement specifically suggests that things like ticketing,
okay,
where you have the opportunity to collect from the individuals who are participating in the event, those things are looked at more favorably than
Okay.
if it was only CODA funding that was
Sure.
really supporting.
but when we are presenting the case,
Yes.
we'll assume a number of
Yes.
ticket
You'll,
sales.
you'll make
Okay.
your best estimate as
Okay.
to the number of people who might
Sure.
be able to attend.
Okay.
What's the capacity of your venue, based on your historical experience.
Okay.
How many people attend these kinds of events, and then what might you charge for a ticket?
Okay.
So it's just your best guess at that point.
And can we also mention that based on the membership fees, some of
Yes.
it would be subsidized? Okay.
Yeah.
So those are the two. Thank you.
Yes.
I had a question. What if you don't have enough applicants to use all of the funding? What is your plan with the remaining funding? When you alluded to if there was excess funding, I know in the past it would go back to the city budget.
Yeah, so any funding that isn't used at the end of the fiscal year is returned to the local option sales tax fund balance. So the overall city budget for local option funds. If there were not many applicants, let's say for the special project grant, I think we've done this in the past. I think we had a third round, a special third round of applications a couple of years ago because there really was a lot of money left on the table. But it'll be up to CODA to decide whether they think that would be worth it, or if there was enough money to make that happen.
Okay, I was just wondering in writing it, if you were saying, like the one organization that was asking, so if they're asking for 2,000, most of us probably are only asking for 1,000 because that's what we're told that we can ask for. But, so I was just wondering if the excess, do you see what I'm saying? Like, is
Yeah.
it better for us to show that most of us probably could use more toward it, but we always write in our budget that it's the 1,000. Is it better which way do you want us to show it? Do you want us to show it financially with the $1,000 need, or it's
I would say
a little tricky?
keep it to the 1,000.
Okay.
Like Brian was saying in the past, if we spitballing numbers, but if we have 10 grand to give out and we only have 7 grand worth, that 3,000 is going to carry over. We'll use it for potential because we have until the end of the fiscal year before we have to give it back kind of a thing. So
And those numbers are larger than we do actually have for
Yeah.
spring special project
Yeah.
grants. The year I think
No.
we were talking about earlier had some additional COVID funding, and there was other things like that. I think we're maybe sitting at only about 4,000 for the spring special project grants total, somewhere around there.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Other questions?
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And then just to reiterate some of the dates Brian shared, upcoming important dates, the spring 2024 special project grant applications are due September 22nd. That's a Friday. And then the next meeting will be October 2nd in this room at 5 p.m. And that will be the special project grant hearings. So if you do submit a spring special project grant application, you do have to attend the October meeting for those hearings. And I believe there's a sign up sheet by the door to choose your time slot. We do tend to go a little bit fast, I think, of what the time slot says. And so if you could be here at least like 15 minutes before your time, that would be good. Other important dates, the 2024-25 annual grant applications are due October 13th. And then the hearings for those will be in November. And again, that will be required if you do fill out one of those applications. Other than that, I think that's all we've got. Anything else from anyone? All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.